this kind of, I mean, I think it came out of nowhere. I didn't see it. I didn't hear any inkling. Maybe it was out there and I just missed it, but I didn't hear an inkling of this. Jim Harbaugh writing this open letter to, I guess, not just the NCAA, but the NFL as well, where he said, it was published in USA Today, or USA Today wrote about it. I saw Adam Schefter just published the whole letter on Twitter.
I thought it was a letter returning the millions of dollars he's gotten from Michigan and not delivered a national championship. That's what I thought the letter was going to be about.
Look at you. Here's the thing. It's not about national championships
yes, it is.
At Michigan. They've never won one.
Yes, they
other
did.
Than that
they
shared
one.
mythical one.
Right.
That was mythical.
He was brought to finally win a championship, and it hasn't happened.
They want to be relevant.
That's all.
They want to be relevant.
That's the letter I want to read from Jim Harbaugh that, you know what? I bamboozled you people of Michigan. Here's your money back. Here's the insurance payment settlement back.
Why should he give the money back?
Because he hasn't delivered.
Keep the money.
He hasn't delivered.
So when players don't deliver, they don't get the money back.
He's worse than a pizza man not bringing you your pizza. He makes a lot of dough, but he doesn't deliver. That's all I'm saying. All right.
No, that's supposed to be get Craig Melvin. Go ahead. The Craig Melvin track. Wow. I was about to say, Craig laughs at everything. But anyway, let me get to the letter. You taking us on tangents. All right. He says, Rob, I think you'll like this. I think you'll actually agree with him. He says that college players should be eligible for the NFL at any time. So now the rule, of course, is you have to be 3 years removed from high school graduation. He's saying after any year, so if you're a freshman and you play well, you should be able to go to the NFL. Same thing for sophomores and so on and so forth. What do you? Now, let me throw out a few of the things Go ahead.
100% agree, because every case is different. There are prodigies in this world. Some kids are bigger, stronger, faster. You shouldn't hold those kids back. The onus isn't on the kid. The onus is on the people who do the evaluation. You can't just make a blanket statement about everybody. If that's the case, no kid. We got doctors who graduated medical school at 14 and 15 years old. People graduated college.
Well, very few.
But I'm talking about a prodigy.
At 14?
All right, college. They graduate college at 14.
A little different. Yeah.
And I'll go give you the year. I'll look it up, the youngest doctor. My point is that there are people who are prodigies, and you don't hold them back. If you have a concert pianist who's 8 years old, you don't tell her she can't go to Carnegie Hall and perform if she's that good and that brilliant. And you can't just tell people, oh yeah, nobody, regardless of their ability and their strength and their size, can play in the NFL. And the BS arguing about, oh, they're going to get hurt. Everybody gets hurt. Grown men get hurt in the NFL. So you're not going to stop people from getting hurt. That's not it. If he's talented enough and he's a prodigy and somebody wants to hire him, they should be allowed to be hired. It shouldn't be some artificial made-up number that says you have to be this age. It's nonsense.
I don't think it's nonsense. I do like the letter from Harbaugh. I like his sentiment. For a few things I like about it is, one, he says that, if a kid leaves early after a year or two, he still maintains he can go back to college. So if he doesn't get drafted, say you declare after your freshman year, you don't get drafted, you can go back to college. And if you do get drafted and go to the NFL, then you still maintain some of your academic scholarship, so you can come back when you want, even after your career's over, and get your degree, or at least have a few years on academic scholarship, and then you can work toward your degree. So I like that about it. I've always felt it's a little different with football because of the size factor and the physicality factor. I don't think it should be 3 years that you have to wait. I would be comfortable if they just made it 2 years. And here's why I say it. Basketball, hockey, baseball, they're not as physical as football. And if you look at, just as a comparison, the youngest heavyweight champion we've ever had in what is really a physical sport comparable to football, boxing. 20 years old. You don't see any 18-year-old, 19-year-old heavyweight champs. At 20 years old was Mike Tyson, the youngest. The youngest champion in the 100 meters for the United States of America ever is 20 years old. Noah Lyles a couple years ago just, had the fastest 100 in the nation. Sam Grady did it, a few 30-something years ago. So that to me, those are good barometers. You're right, though. Every blue moon, there's a kid that's big enough physically and mature enough and strong enough. But that is incredibly rare. And obviously, you're right in that everybody gets hurt. But if you put a kid out there who's just not physically ready, and he's 18 or 19 years old, and he is just not physically ready, he's great, but he ain't physically ready, you could be talking about a different kind of hurt.
Chris.
That's my view. Now, Harbaugh is obviously closer to the game than I am, and he must not think it's that big of a difference, but that's always been what I've thought. So I would be more comfortable right now at 2 years.
I just, there's no data to support any of that about
I just
age.
Gave you data in sprinting and boxing.
No, I'm talking about a specimen who's bigger and stronger than most 18-year-olds who could play at that level. That's all I'm talking about. I'm talking about prodigies. There's no reason to have a restriction.
There's very few freshmen,
but that's
other than
fine.
maybe
I'm
some
just saying,
quarterbacks that even come and dominate college football.
But they still should be available to them if they're a prodigy. That's what he's saying.
But even if they're not, he's not just saying prodigies. Because here's what's
he's saying that you should be able to go there, and that's up for a team to decide whether they want to draft you or not.
But here's the problem. You're going to start, because prodigies aren't the only ones that are going to declare themselves for the draft.
That's fine.
Everybody that can play is going to declare for themselves for the draft. So you're going to have teams start drafting players who aren't ready for the NFL.
I don't believe that.
Based on their potential. It happened in the NBA. That's why the NBA PA decided they didn't want to have kids coming out of high school because veterans at 36, 35, 37 years old who were much better than a high school kid were losing their jobs to a kid they were better than because of his potential.
That's not true.
It is true.
There's a handful of guys who came out of high school. It's not a whole parade of players. I don't buy that. The responsibility is on the organization. Don't draft them if they're not ready.
If I see a kid in high school that looks like it'd be great, you might draft him late. Remember, Rob, there's 7 rounds. You can draft a kid in the 6th round. You can draft a kid in the 6th round who's not ready, but he looks great.
Who's the onus on, the kid or the organization? Who's the onus on?
It's on the organization.
Okay, then that's it. If I want to go and put my name in the hat, because this is what I want to do is play football. If I fail at that and they don't draft me or whatever, then I got to go get a job like everybody else, Chris.
No, you don't. You go back to college.
Yes, I do.
You go back to college.
Under Harbaugh's plan. But I'm just saying, in general, I don't have a problem. The only reason that the colleges have kept the kids out, they've done this as punishment because they don't want their free golden so you don't think there anything? Nothing. No,
I agree with the NCAA doesn't have the best motives, but you don't think there's any difference between the overwhelming majority of men in the NFL and a freshman in college? Nope, I don't. I'm telling you, ain't looking. I'm telling you that when I'm talking about to draft one. To draft an 18-year-old just because they're available. You can't be drafting everybody just because they're available. Doesn't mean you have to draft them. Why wouldn't I take a kid in the 6th round who looks like he's going to be great? Now a veteran's losing his job to a kid that can't play yet. But that's the fault of the organization. It's not the fault of the organization. It's smart on the organization's part. You can't protect the older players. They get cut all the time. And it probably saves you money because they make a lot of money. Come on, Chris. It's a false narrative
to deny people employment. It's not only in pro sports and a CBA.
Because pro sports is different.
Can you deny people employment? It's the only place. You can't stop a kid from going to Hollywood at 5 years old and getting a job in a movie. It's only here. We send people to the military, 18 years old, to go fight. Here's a rifle. You can go fight, but you can't play football? It makes no sense. I'm going to send you to a foreign land and sleep outside and fight. And you're 18 and you're telling me you're worried about a guy playing football? Come on, Chris. Nonsense.
My worry, I agree that if a kid's 18 and can go to fight for the country, he should be able to get a job. Don't get me wrong on that. My concern is the health of the kids. Now, if we get people, Harbaugh and I'm going to ask Charlie Casserly, if they think an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old can physically hack it, then fine. I have no problem. If I think a kid can go play basketball out of high school, then I'm fine with him playing football out of high school if he's physically ready. I don't want to see an 18-year-old or 19-year-old kid get maimed because he went to the NFL too early. That's my concern. What do you think? Should kids be able to go straight to the NFL at any point from college football? Your turn to weigh in as we continue the conversation with you next.
All right, let's kick it off with Don in Columbus, Ohio. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Don?
Hey, Chris and Rob. Hey, I love y'all show, man. Y'all go over a lot of stuff that people just gloss over, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, my man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I got to agree with Chris on this one, though, Rob, because for the simple fact that when them kids come out of college, they don't be ready, and their bodies don't be ready, their minds don't be ready neither, and they're going to ruin the product on the field of play. Plus, they sit behind people and won't even get a chance to even get in.
Yes, it's different.
But that's
football.
That's
a different world.
That's not on the kids. That's on they shouldn't be drafted then. That's all I'm saying. The onus is not on the kids. If a kid is a prodigy and developed, we've all met those kids, Chris, bigger, stronger than they should be at that time or whatnot. And if they're good enough and someone wants to take a chance on them because they really believe that they could contribute, then they should have that
Well, I think they
opportunity.
believe they could contribute in the future. I don't think many would believe anybody's coming in right away.
We don't
even
know
in
yet
basketball,
we don't know yet because they've been blocked.
Well, but even
so
in the NBA, there's only one player ever who came out of high school that played really well as a rookie, and that was LeBron.
All right, so
Kobe
there might
didn't.
be a LeBron.
Garnett
there might be a
didn't.
LeBron player.
Grady didn't.
Football wise,
yeah, I'm sure that there are those. I'll give you that. My main concern is their health. But 877-99 on Fox. Who's next?
Andre in Michigan. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Andre?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Doing
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Like the last caller said, first of all, commend y'all for that segment y'all did yesterday about Ahmad the Jogger. Really appreciate
you,
that.
man.
You know, y'all
Thank
show it's about more than just sports, and I really do appreciate that.
Thank
But
you.
We're not going to sit
but
here and ignore what's going on.
In regards to what you're talking about today, I have to agree with Rob. That's on the onus of the football team not to draft that person. You know, the NFL is probably one of the few leagues that have all these rules that have to protect themselves from themselves. Just like if we can't get your contract done in a good time, in the right time, you serve your contract, but I'm gonna put you on a franchise so I can finish working it out. You know, if like you said, it's on you to look at it and say, okay, this guy is not ready. Let him go for a few more years. That's not on the player because look at somebody like Jadeveon Clowney that had a chance to be good after his freshman year. Or then they run these running backs into the ground, getting 300 carries a year. By the time he gets to the NFL, he got 1,200 carries on his legs. So that's on the team, in my opinion.
Yep, good call. I agree. Let the onus be on the organizations. The kid's not ready, don't draft them. Nick in South Carolina, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Nick?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
Hey, it's been agreeing a lot with Rob lately, but now that I finally agree with Chris, life is starting to feel normal again.
Uh-oh.
No, I've actually got.
That's a common sentiment, my man.
I've got mixed feelings about this. I mean, Rob is right. I mean, you got to give people the opportunity to make a living if they've got the talent. But at the same time, prodigy is not a word that we can throw around lightly because they're very few of them exist. So the other thing is, if you're playing at the highest level, I mean, everybody's got to pay some dues, just like doctors, lawyers, professors. They got to pay dues by all the schooling that they do. And then the other thing is the NFL, along with the NBA, they do have some maturity issues. So I think those kids will benefit from, spending some time in college with the right coach who can, prepare them for the rigors of the NFL.
Are there immature guys? Are there older, immature guys in the NFL?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure because maturity doesn't always have to deal with your age or how much experience you have in life. There are a lot of grown men who make a lot of bad decisions.
But Rob, he's not. But he makes a good point that sometimes if you put kids with grown men, I mean, you see a lot of these kids in Hollywood have issues, major. I mean, more often than not, it seems
there are
they
a lot
have
of
issues.
adults
So
who
you
have
just got to
issues
be
too,
careful.
Chris. I agree
but
with
I mean,
that.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's not all. Everything's not black and white.
I didn't
there's
say
a
it
lot
was,
of nuances.
but it's not black and white to say if you're 18, you shouldn't be able to earn a living because we made up some arbitrary rule where there's no science to back it up. There's
I
no
don't
science.
have a problem
Everybody's
with an
not the
18-year-old
same.
making a living. I have a problem with an 18-year-old being physically,
But you have no problem with an
overmatched.
18-year-old going to a foreign country to fight a war? I'm just asking.
It's a different. It's football.
What's the
I'm
difference?
talking about a sport, Rob. I've said several times that if a kid can go to war at 18, he should be able to go to the NBA. He should be able to go to Major League Baseball, all that. My only concern is the brutality of football. Now, if the kids prove that they're fine at 18, 19, 20, so be it. I'm just saying that's the concern of mine that I'd like to see worked out before I just said, open the doors wide and let all of them go in.
James in Virginia, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, man, I love this. But the bottom line is it took me, when I joined the Army at age 18, I was in Vietnam at the age 19. I had my 19th birthday, and it took me 6 months to learn how to carry a 30-pound backpack and run 3 miles without stopping. So I'm trying to say there is no way in the world that a kid right out of high school can go out and deal with this pressure from the NFL. That's my story.
All right, my man.
I disagree with you, and I appreciate your service, though. I really do.
Definitely. Good call. All right. We've got former NFL GM Charlie Cashley. Charlie, welcome to the Odd Couple.
What's happening?
Hey, great to be with you guys.
Always great to have you. Let's get right to it. Interesting proposal today by Jim Harbaugh where he said college kids should be able to go out to the NFL after freshman, sophomore years. Don't have to wait till after their junior year. I like the idea, and I think that's fair, Charlie, but my main concern is I think football is just a different animal, and it's so physical, and I just think I worry about an 18 or 19-year-old kid being able to handle the physicality and actually getting severely hurt. And am I wrong? Harbaugh's close to the game.
Let me get my point in with Charlie before he makes a decision on what he's doing. And Charlie, my only argument is we don't stop prodigies. If you have a kid who's big enough, strong enough, and more developed, and he's good enough to play, and a team wants to draft him, I don't have an issue with that because I think there are exceptions to the rule. But to just blanketly throw out there and say nobody can go into the NFL regardless of their abilities or talent, I don't agree with that. I think they've used the physical part of it to help stock college football and develop players for free for the NFL, and it's not in the best interest of a prodigy.
No, I'd be dead set against it.
Dead set against
first of all,
his kids going out before the third year.
Yeah, I mean, we can say it's an arbitrary number, 3 years in college, but my experience as scouting players is that there's a physical and mental maturity that goes through the college period. The longer they're in college, as a general rule, they not only develop physically, but they also develop a maturity level too. Now, what you're going to have, if you open it up, you're going to have a lot of players that are going to see the gold out there, and they're going to want to leave, right? And really not have a chance, okay? And they're going to say, "I'm not coming back. I'll go sign as a college. I'll sign as a free agent." And then they don't make it. So I'm dead set against it. I think it would be chaos for college football.
Well, that's what it is.
Goes.
You're right about that. Chaos for college football.
I'm totally not even close to it. And I'm going to draw a blank on the running back from Ohio State who sued and didn't win in court.
Claret?
Yeah. Well, there was a phenom that fell flat in his face, right?
Yeah, it was a Heisman.
Yeah, but that's one guy, Charlie. The only problem I have is you're setting the ways that you guys have monopolized and taken advantage of college players for years. And you guys think that this is right when there's really – Charlie, have you seen documentation that says everybody has to be 21 years old to play in the NFL? Do you know that for sure? Or is that just some arbitrary number because you want the kids – you want to be able to use the kids up, and I don't mean you personally, but in college, so you don't have to pay for a minor league system. Everywhere else, kids are going to play sports golf at 14, tennis at 14, whatever it is, and nobody talks about the maturity level or going to be pros or making money. It's only football, yet we're willing to send young kids to the military at 18 years old. I don't buy it. If a guy is a prodigy and good enough, the onus should be on the organization whether or not to draft him. Just because you open it up, and if a guy takes a chance, Charlie, and it doesn't work out, you know what he does? He gets a job like everybody else. That's what he have to do.
Yeah, but I've seen countless players that stay in school that don't come out as juniors, and they're a much better prospect as a senior. Okay, they make more money because they get drafted higher. That's my opinion. First, that's junior to senior year, and you can't compare football to other sports.
Right.
Right. I mean, we've all seen young athletes in other sports excel, but to try to think that they go play against men and excel, that's hard. I think that's hard to say. You can always find somebody who can do something, but it's the majority of them that can't do it, and we see. Too many players are declaring for the draft because, A, they want to get out of school, they don't want to be in school, and they never go back and finish their education for the most part, and they're looking at the money, and yet they're not going to make the money.
But, Charlie, most of the people in the United States, the vast majority, don't have college degrees. Most people live a good life without a college degree. It's not the end-all, be-all. Why do we always put that on athletes?
But a lot of it is
I'm
like
just
it's
asking.
Physical.
No,
Charlie,
but I'm talking
how
about
much
the
of a
college,
physical,
the college thing, Chris.
How much of a physical? Because to me, I'm with Rob in that I think what's fair is kids would be able to go and earn a living. I just think they're not ready physically, and I think a kid could get seriously hurt in the NFL, a year out of high school for the most part. I mean, how much of a physical difference is it?
The guys get cut and then they don't go back to school. Here's the thing. And I haven't looked at this recently, but I'll guarantee you that if you look at college graduates, okay, they'll earn more than non-college graduates. People with master's degrees earn more, or graduate degrees earn more with people with four-year college degrees. So it's a question of the availability of jobs, okay, and how much you're going to earn. And so you're getting a free education to college, okay. You need to take advantage. To me, you must, and see, I'm the other extreme. You better be a high pick to come out early, because we've got guys who go out and they don't play as well. Take advantage of that college education. Football isn't forever. It's really a short life.
Charlie, the NFL schedule has been dripped out, and I guess is about to come out totally. Teams are releasing it. What did when you were a GM? What did you put in stock? Did you look at the schedule? Do you kind of look and figure out what kind of record you could have? Or is this just for other people and you really can't tell because you don't know when you'll be playing them, who's hurt, who's available? How did you look at the schedule when it came out?
Well, you're right on all accounts, okay? You really don't know. That's number one. I think a couple of things you looked at. Where are your division games? That's number one. You like them later in the year when you think you're going to be playing your best football. Where is your bye? You'd like that later in the year, though in reality, anytime you had one, you thought it was good after you did it, even if it was early during the season. Then do you have any odd situation? Do you have 3 road games in a row? You don't want that. Do you have your short weeks? away on Sunday and away on Thursday, which I know they've tried to work away from that, but I was in an era when we had to deal with those things. So those are some of the things that you look for. Division, short weeks, 3 in a row on the road, oddball things like this. And the other thing is, who do you play in September? A team that has an easy September schedule can gain momentum versus a team that has a brutal September schedule. And I know we don't know what people are like, but for the most part, the good teams stay good, and the teams that aren't good, they usually aren't good for another year.
Well, what's interesting, Charlie, I think in the NFL certainly more than the NBA and probably more than baseball as well, you see teams go from worst to first or first to worst, in a year. How much is that? That's a great thing for the NFL. How much of that is the way they do the scheduling?
Well, I've never studied that, but there is something to that. Having been in the league.
Lions.
Excuse me?
Except for the Detroit Lions, because it hasn't worked out for them.
Well, there's always next year, okay? And this is next year, okay? So, and they're a dark horse now. They're a dark horse.
They should be the Detroit dark horses.
Dark horse?
Yeah, you're going to say they're very dark on the horse, right?
Yeah, very.
That means they don't have a chance, but they do. So
right. Charlie, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate the knowledge.